Good morning, everyone. These guys are too funny around here. Oh, I hope you're okay, every one of you. You know, if you're not, please hang in there. Keep working it. If you find yourself coming to kind of a roadblock, take a look at your diet. See if you can do better with that. See if you can kick that up another notch. See if you can just go on like a fruit fast. Remember, nature fasts their people, basically. Animals fast when they're hurting. Remember, when you're fasting, your body can direct all the energy it has available to it to areas that need it. And the body is that wise. So I hope you're all working yourselves through. Some of you guys have done unbelievably well. You know, a lot of you are seeing the spiritual side coming up too. And that's just a no-brainer. It's just you're awakening to more of life. You know, remember, this is just a huge soap opera of God's. And you're just an individual spark of that Godhead experiencing an individuality in an individual form. And there's untold individual forms. Why wouldn't a creator do that? To experience the allness of itself, to understand itself more, and to develop and increase its ability to experience by making each and every little piece become its own self-creator. So when you realize that you're just an actor on a stage and that your mind is the driving force, or is the force of creation, and the emotions the driver, you start to realize that when you step back from those, you start to see more. When you move from the thinker to the watcher, it's like taking you from down here to way up here, because you no longer let thought block your consciousness. So that's why I'm saying meditation and contemplation, do that every morning, do that every afternoon, do it in the evening. And just start becoming the watcher. And you'll start becoming deeper and deeper within yourself until you reach the point where you see all of us are all the same. We're all connected at these deeper levels. At this outer level, it appears that we're all individual. We all have different bodies, different shapes and sizes, which is true. But we come out of the same Godhead. You, me, everyone. And so, align yourself with that. Relax. Don't let anything get you. Right now, the mind is going through major turmoil. The human consciousness is going through a shift and a balancing of itself because the mind got too strong and out of balance. So you have narcissism running major all over the place. Look at all this. You know, I was watching Jesse Ventura's, I think it's his last one on the Illuminati, you know, and that's even scary. About in Arkansas, the big castle, what is it, 75,000 square foot home, and then underground, just this mountain full of a mountain city underground. I mean, it's amazing to see it. It just shows you. But the Illuminati in the America, I can tell you, if you go back in this country in America to 1933, you'll see where Roosevelt filed bankruptcy, and really who owns the federal government, which is a corporation in this country, is the World Bank. And this is why you see all this. It's amazing how all this is coming. But anyway, I hope you're all great today and having fun. Thank you for moving to Vimini. I don't still know if I'm pronouncing that right. I hope it's good. I know we want to put all these on our own website too, so we have both sites. And so we'll see. I still don't think we know why YouTube did that. But, you know, thank you all for being patient with us and moving around. And I hope we're getting you. I'm getting more time, I think, it looks like, in the future. So hopefully I'll keep up with these better for you. And I apologize. There's just so much going on here. Gary, and Gary says actually to watch on Vimeo better because there is more screen and seems you are closer. Oh, wow. So I don't know, Vimeo, I think we ought to start our own and call it our house or our home or our place or something, you know, but names that are easy for people to hook to. So anyway, let's look at some of these question and answers here. Appreciate you all so much. Like I said, if any of you are hurting real bad, hopefully I'll be able to answer these much more in a timely manner. So we were just talking about that with Jennifer here, about being able to get away from seeing people more and getting more time on these. Because what I'm seeing is a very smart group of people developing out of all you guys. I am so impressed with each and every one of you as I see you individually in my office. It just becomes apparent to me how amazing each and every one of you are. And by you taking self-discipline, now remember, self-discipline requires you to break from the mind. And that's what's so important. Self-discipline is connecting to your inner self more and more and more. And I hate to separate inner and outer, because that's kind of illusionary. But at the same time, as you become more the watcher, it appears like you're going deeper within yourself, that you're actually becoming more of all that is. And it's amazing to see that. But it does require self-discipline to do this. That's why I tell you, spend some time alone and get to know yourself. Work on that parathyroid so you'll have a better expression of yourself. You know, when our glands are down, our emotions go down, our sense of self-worth goes down. All these things go down, guys. So work on your glands always. We have the new gland tonic. You guys, you know, the Adrenals. You guys are getting so smart that it is just what this world needs. I love every one of you. You keep going. You keep learning and growing. We don't have all the answers. No one says we do. We have enough to cure the world of everything, pretty much. All right, so let's look at this. This is called adult acne. Let me see. This is Sophie. Hey, Sophie, sweetheart. My question is about acne. As a teenager, I suffered mild acne, and in my mid-20s, when I turned cooked vegan, lots of whole grains, legumes, cooked vegetables, tofu. You know what? I mean, people do that. You can't, coming along in the late 60s, early 70s, you had all these different levels there, and you still do. From microbiotics to fruitarian to all these levels. And I've tried basically all. I didn't spend a lot of time in macrobiotics because I already knew that was a no-brainer. And in Portugal, when we were doing these yearly symposiums, those people that represented the microbiotic people around the world, these were your top microbiologists, they looked gray. They did not look vibrant. Their skin didn't look healthy and vibrant. And I always said, what? You can't rationale cooking your food over raw. You can't. If you're saying, well, the food is too hard to break down when it's raw, you're talking about vegetables. You're eating the wrong food. Fruit is easy to break down for the Homo sapien because it's designed for the Homo sapien. Okay, Fruit says, my nature path said only one fruit a day. Now, this is a friggin' nature path. You know, I tell you, I get so upset when I hear nature paths have sunk to the bottom of the ladder. We're the ones that's supposed to inspire, bring forth consciousness and bring out life. And so for a nature path to recommend dead beans and dead animals, organic or not, who cares? It's dead tissue. You know, recommend all this stuff like that is beyond me. It just shows you that in one area man's growing academically and in another area he's sinking spiritually. And it's just this round the rosy, same time a historic high protein crap, dead food crap. Go raw foods for a while. Go raw foods for about 3 months. Clean your body out and then go back to a diet like this. I saw a bunch of guys trying to go back to the paleo diet and they got real sick. Yeah, no kidding. So she took Accutane, which is a bad boy. That's one of those bad drugs out there, and a lot of people fell into this, and that's a problem. My skin became gorgeous, but I know now I did more harm than good. Absolutely, Accutane, bad drug. I mean, you can call an attorney and get on that list because they're advertising that drug constantly. Of internal damage to my organs and with this awful drug. Yeah, fast forward to 2 years ago, now in my early 40s, my skin started to break out again because remember, you never fixed the problem, did you? You treated the symptom. And Accutane, major suppressant. When you see suppressants like Accutane, antibiotics and stuff, half the list is fatal events. You know, things like Imbril, Celebrex, things that are anti-inflammatories. Notice they all have fatal events tied to them, meaning deaths. Strokes, heart attacks, things like that. Man, there's nothing in your life worth that sort of thinking. And for that kind of drug to be on the market, when there's a huge population of you guys that know what causes things, it's ridiculous. Before my period with tiny little white pus-filled pimples. That's because estrogen gets things going, guys. Acid gets things moving sometimes. You know, it's funny, at one level of pH of acid will be aggressive and have some beneficial work like estrogen and testosterone, but too much will burn you. Then when you get into the hotter pHs, they'll just flatly burn you. So we said this before, it's all about these pH variances and at each level what that can do and the response that has in chemistry and then on tissue. So, you know, it's just looking at that. But even that is more than one really needs to think about. To be honest with you, it's good to have some of this knowledge behind you because it'll set you apart from others in terms of that sort of thing. But in reality, it's hard for people that are used to chewing with the mind to chew simplistically because it's too simple. You know, and they've always said that even spiritually. The answers are always within you, not outside of you. You can never find the answers to life. Get in the biggest spaceship we have and try to go in, you'll never find the answers because you're still stuck in the physical world. You're looking outwards into a world that has no beginning or no end, so to speak. Not too many, just a few. Let me see. They are bigger, worse. The breakouts start for the past month. It's gotten so bad. I am not a vain person, but I have to say I'm embarrassed to be seen in the public. They're all white pus filled. Well, this is all lymph, sweetheart. That's what that pussy mucus is that's lymph fluid. But that's also probably acids and waste material that's in that pussy stuff that the body's trying to expectorate. You know, I fell off a telephone pole way back. I worked at the telephone company. I fell way up and really broke my kneecap and everything, but I grabbed the pole, which they tell you not to, but when you're way up there and it's way down there, you're going to try to struggle to stay. And I wasn't on my hooks, I was on my ladder. And so I fell and had creosote spinners all in my hand. Well, the surgeon had to cut it open and remove what he could. But for about 5 years after that, I would get these little creosote spinners coming out my fingernails. Isn't that cool? I mean, that's nature, and that's how it is. Some of these tumors just want to come out. Notice a breast tumor will head toward the nipple. Just the body trying to push this stuff out. And that's why sometimes of course, the skin is your largest eliminative organ. And if you have enough thyroid, enough warmth in the body for the body to push this waste out through the skin, it's going to do it. Especially if the kidneys are closed. When the kidneys down below are closed, the skin's going to express itself. And when it doesn't, that's even a worse problem. Because underneath subcutaneously, which is hooked to the lymph nodes, we really start seeing serious problems. And when you can't sweat it out or pee it out, that's when you get in serious trouble. And this is when you start moving toward the chronic fibromyalgias and lupuses and Lymes and all these things that they call disease type things, which is crap. This is systemic acidosis, no matter what factors, rheumatoid factors, or what factors, homocysteine, C-reactive protein. I don't care what factors it changes in the body. Who cares? That's an intellectual, let's play this game and charge a lot of people for doing it. No. You detoxify yourself. You understand it's just sewage not getting out through the kidneys. My adrenals are down. And so this is what you have to do, sweetheart. So you've got to start kicking those kidneys in. Or you got to go back to years ago and fix that problem. Because all these years it's just been getting deeper and deeper and building and building and building. And now you're seeing more expressions, bigger problems. The problem is that's just on the skin. What's going on inside to your organs and glands and in your brain? See what I'm saying? This is a systemic problem. And you have to look at that. When you have a lymphatic problem, you have a systemic problem, meaning you have a problem head to toe. And this whole bull crap that cancer moves and spreads through the body and travels around making other cells. These are people that live in the Wizard of Oz land. You know, it's easy to understand that the body's made of cells and two major fluids, and it's easy to understand that acid side of chemistry is the corrosive side of chemistry. This is the side predominantly of cell waste. Cell waste are alkalis, they're acids. So when you take a look at all that, it starts to make sense then why you see the pain and inflammation in a highly acidic medium. You see dehydration, coagulation of fluids, mucus gets hard, you start getting these plugs and all these things like that. So there you have to just detoxify, get your adrenals up, get your kidneys up. That's just little mucus pockets. That's all you got to do, sweetheart. Let me see. I got really bad in the middle of the master cleanse. I wouldn't doubt it. See, here's the thing. I cheat with organic blue chips and about some salsa, da-da-da-da-da. She went on a master cleanse, obviously. It got worse, but of course it will. But you're not getting worse and making it worse. See, this is what people have to understand, and I think this is, some people get trapped in there thinking that when you see an expression like this, oh my God, no, it's an expression of elimination. And when you kicked up elimination, you saw more elimination on your skin. This is just elimination. Acid elimination, that's why it gets red and why things can get painful sometimes. But this is just elimination, and you kicked up elimination. So you would expect to see that. Now, you wouldn't have seen that if your kidneys were filtering. And that's what's not happening here. And when you fix that, remember, fill the boot. Remember that? Now, not only do I have to deal with wrinkles, okay, let's stop right there, Sophie. Wrinkles, that means you're losing calcium in connective tissue, and you're not putting it back. Either you're not putting it back because you're too acidic or a parathyroid problem. You want to look at that and fix that because you want to get on this program, clean your body out, rebuild whatever until those wrinkles are gone. You don't want to have wrinkles. That's not a good sign. I don't like that sign. And you healers out there, when you're working on your folk, then one of the two things you see that you know you're getting them is their hair starting to turn color again, nape of the neck on the sides here, and what is I was going to tell you, is going to see here. Yeah, man, that just went right out. I don't know where that was going. But that just went right out. I apologize to that, but that just went right out. But you want to see all the wrinkles. You want to see the wrinkles disappear. That is the one thing. And I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 90 years old. You want to see those wrinkles going away because that translates to the vascular wall. And someone asked me about aneurysms here. Let's see if I can connect that to, yeah, here we go. See if I can connect that to that. I now have to add acne to the mix, and what am I doing wrong? I'm not doing anything wrong. Are my hormones so out of balance? No, you're kicking it up. You're kicking up your lymph system, Sophie. Yeah, learn about your lymph system, sweetheart. Review those videos if you can find them. But get these and understand about your lymphatic system and what's going on here, because that's all it is. And you just have to clean that out. Am I having a reaction to something I'm eating? No, you're kicking up elimination, sweetheart. That's all you're doing, sweetie. So now let's go over here to Angie Phillips, and she says, I have been wondering about aneurysms lately. It seems that people get them and succumb to them quite unexpectedly. I read the definition as being due to a weakening of the wall of the blood vessel. Would this be caused by calcium malabsorption of the body, pulling its calcium to combat acidosis? Absolutely, sweetheart. And the inability to put that calcium back. That's the problem. When you see calcium loss in the body, the first question should be why? Well, being that calcium is more of a base metal, why would we lose it? And again, look at this acid base. Acid base is a constant movement of energy or chemistry between these two poles. in electrons, protons, this whole movement of ionization, oxidation, the whole movement of zeta potentials and all that implies, and looking at how things react, respond, move. It's just kind of like a whole city in your body of workers doing all kinds of things to support life. We do the same thing in our communities and in our towns. You know, you got your carpenters, you got your grocery stores, you got all this in there, and you could almost take a town and apply it to the human body with all the offices, the endocrine glands, and all of this sort of thing. You could do that. Electrical apartments, of course, where you got the nervous systems, and you could do that. And to show you how simple and how it works, we have a sanitation department, and what happens if the sanitation department doesn't pick up the trash? And that's what's not happening. When you're not filtering lymphatically, the sanitation department can't get rid of the trash. They might try to pick it up, lymph nodes, and they might be swollen, but if they can't get that out, if they can't make it to the landfill through the kidneys, then you're going to back it up locally. Now, that means anywhere in the body. As a matter of fact, everywhere to some degree. You're going to always feel your genetic weaknesses first. You always are. We talked about this, and I think I showed you this in the eye work, where these genetic lacunas or these weaknesses have a thicker lymphatic wall to them, showing that lymph is compromised in these related areas. And those are the areas we notice we have problems worse. It's like the weakest things get kicked out first or cause the problems first. And that's important to remember. But I would definitely look at the parathyroid gland in all aneurysmic things. And of course, smokers are the most prone to aneurysm because they're putting acids right into the blood. And then the blood has to maintain its integrity of pH balance, which is to the base side or alkaline side, and you're putting in acids directly into that. You're going to see the stealing from the connective tissue. And that's also where you get wrinkles, the same reason. But, of course, I think I was telling you at one time, I had a hospital administrator at one of my classes, and we were talking about cancer and calcium and all that, and he said, well, I know a statistic probably you don't. Well, I don't really follow statistics. Those things are like, why waste your time? I mean, that's for people that like that. Like Gary Knowles, good with that. People are good with that sort of thing. I don't even give a hoot. Because what is what is, what works, Why do we chew on things? You know, that's the mind. You know, when something works, you drop what doesn't and you keep going forward. But we like to chew and buts and whys and ifs and stuff like that. And that's not living in the now, that's living in the mind. And the mind can never lead you to Wellville or to God, because it has nothing to do with that. Its job is to separate, divide, analyze, rationalize, if we could call it that. Only consciousness, the awareness behind the mind, is the key. And the only way you can find that is to shut that mind down and become the watcher. And pretty soon the watcher merges with all life, because all life, God is simply watching. Through all the eyes of nature, you will find God. And that includes yours. So, really important to look at the parathyroid gland, but his statistics was there was X amount, I can't even remember the percentage of people who die from aortic aneurysms, from subclavian ports dumping chemo right into the aorta. These guys are at the top of the bad list. And it's unfortunate that, and I don't blame medical doctors, I blame pharmaceuticals, I blame the FDA and that sort of thinking. Medical doctors just need to raise up and get out of what they've been doing to you and what you then have been doing to people. You've got to change this focus, learn what we're doing here, and you'll be some of the finest healers on the planet. And you'll have a well-rounded knowledge behind you. If not, you become one of the killers. And that's the problem. It's out of control with the amount of maiming and damage, let alone deaths, that are occurring with allopathic thinking. You know, when you have a bizarre thinking like that has no real basis in truth, or half basis in truth, geared or perpetuated by the pharmaceutical industry, I have to blame that side of that, obviously, then you've got to get off that wagon sometime. And there's a lot of great medical doctors that have jumped off that wagon that are now using just what you guys are doing, and they're curing up their people. And these are the finer doctors of the world, and they will be. They're thinking outside of the box. They're pulling themselves away. They're seeing that they're not getting places, and now they're curing people. And it's just it's another fresh level. And that's what medical doctors need. There's a lot of great medical doctors that just need to start feeling better about themselves, and that they can start curing people up. Because I know there's frustration within allopathy. You know, there's got to be. For those that can't see and feel that they're doing things, have at it. Because the future's not going to be good in that way. So yeah, you want to make sure the parathyroid aneurysms, that's something I look very cautious. If you see spider veins, varicose veins coming, brittle fingernails, bruising easy is one of the classic signs of moving toward aneurysms, because your capillary walls are so thin you're breaking. Circulation formulas are superb, lower in particular, superb. Flavonoids, fruits, berries, and melons. High flavonoids strengthen vascular walls, parathyroid and calcium utilization. Use kelp, things like that. You don't want to see wrinkles either. This is Michael. Hey, my friend. Mike is from Japan. You guys are good over there. I mean to kick Monsanto out if that is true. You guys need a 10 gold stars and a bunch of blue ribbons. You know, I love people that are honest and countries that are honest and stand up for truth and integrity. I don't know how much that's true, but I think that's pretty good if that's true. You know, we have to start standing up to the Illuminati and the World Bank. It's just a bunch of people that think they're better than everybody else. And it's just, you know what? We don't have to go there. We don't have to run and hide. We need to just start perpetuating spirituality, love, joy, oneness. You know, start giving hugs instead of guns. You know, I mean, we just have got to change the way. You know, we're just reaping what we're creating. Look at all the violent movies, all the violent video games. It's constant. And now there's a new, what is it, video dementia or something? It's a new disease out that children are having because they're so much into video games. They're getting dementia because they're using the left brain instead of the right. And the right brain is starting to atrophy from not using it. How interesting is that? Shows you, though, about neurotransmitters being low and how that breaks down the nervous system. So low neurotransmitters, cells start breaking down. I think, how interesting is that, you know? How magnetic energy supports all life. Of course, when you start looking at chemistry, it's just frequencies of electromagnetic energy, and that consciousness is just energy. It's awareness. Energy's full of awareness. Hard to define something you can't see, isn't it? Or you can't touch. Hard to define that, which is infinite. It's easy to define that which is finite. Now, I have been biting my fingernails for as long as I can remember. Do you think this is an adrenal emotional weakness or a thyroid parathyroid depression weakness? Good question. I bit my fingernails when I was a kid a little bit. I don't know. I think it's nerve energy myself, nervous energy, probably more related to the adrenal glands than anything, but someone else might have a different take on that. Testosterone plays a significant role along with follicle-stimulating hormone for the pituitary in creating body hair. Could lymphatically clogged testes or a prostate contribute to balding? Well, you know what? From that standpoint of view, it is possible, I suppose. You know, you got a lady in the other day, she just can't grow hair. Can't grow hair under the arms, can't grow hair. And so you look at those factors like that, absolutely. And bring the steroids into balance here, because you're talking about steroids here. And follicle stimulating hormones. So yeah, that's possible, of course. And then the other side of that's going to be how acidic is the tissues, because you see that up here. The more acidic that the lymph gets, it breaks down hair follicles and you can't grow, you know, and it starts to break down. What's interesting is that when we get more blood flow, and you can see this too, that as the lymph backs up more, gets harder, more stagnant, it can definitely affect blood flow. So by moving lymph and getting that going, increasing blood flow to hair follicles, that's how we get the hair to turn colors when we use upper circulation, and how we start to get new hair sprouting on bald heads. And I think that's important that you see that as much as it's out there. when you see a 20-year-old balding guy, and they're all over the place, and a 30-year-old balding guy, these are serious. That means those poor souls are going to have dementia way, way early in their lives, maybe in their 50s and 60s. And that's scary. So when you see balding, think dementia and Alzheimer's, because you're looking at acids breaking down tissue, no matter what you see like that. Dandruff is another thing. When you see dandruff, you know that's lymphatics. You're oozing out the skin, that which should be going down through the kidneys. There's definitely going to be some filtration out the skin. Most of it's more gas and stuff, but you are obviously always eliminating waste. But when it's that thick, then you start to see it flaking off. That's just not moving lymph well. And then, of course, it can break down the scalp, blah, 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 you know. Yes, lymphatically clogged testes or prostates, absolutely in that way. Females the same way. I have noticed lots of older Japanese women seem to lose their hair. I was also wondering if that was due to bad thyroids, due to bad genetics from people who are exposed to radiation during the atomic bombing. Oh, I'm sure you're all right here, definitely. And then passed on their weakness. Oh yeah, that's, you know, who doesn't matter who starts it, just like you said, and how they started here. They just start passing it, and that's the problem. But that's also our remedy. If you look at that and you say, okay, you know, just what you're saying, you know, radiation started breaking down cells way back, even from these bombs that we sent over there as a present, you know, and yeah. And as that tissue breaks down and then they pass and conceive, then that passes absolutely. And to me, but think about it this way too, if we see it that way, we know that duality controls life. In other words, when there's that side, there's the other side of rebuilding and prosperity and growth. So you have to understand that we can also get in there and fix these genetic slumbers or genetic past. We can start reversing that and improving genetic tissue from weaker to stronger. And so I think it gives us a clue that absolutely you're right on here. And we can use that to reverse our thinking in terms of regeneration. Because it isn't just one-way street here. And that's obvious. I don't think anybody in physics would not understand that. One of my students is practically bald, and many of the kids already have gray hair. This is sad stuff, and I see this a lot too. And I think you're right on. You have to get in there and just start rebuilding these things. Get the endocrine glands up. The endocrine glands, since they control everything, is an important focus. And notice, our focus is the eliminative organs. Key, because you can't fix anything if you're not eliminating waste. Whether it's digestive waste or cellular waste, doesn't matter. So you know we're into the adrenals and kidneys because the adrenals control the kidneys. We're definitely into the GI tract because that is, you know, that controls drainage of brains and everything else. That's a big honcho right there too. So when we're looking at the eliminative organs, we got skin, we got kidneys, and we've got bowels. Well, we're also looking at what controls all these things, which is the endocrine glands. They control literally everything, affecting your emotions, how you see yourself, everything else. So you know we're going to be after those. So I've always said, if you went after those, we call it the Fab Four, but if you go after those, you're really going to make a huge difference in your life if you just hyper-focused on those areas. Get your kidneys filtering, get your skin breathing, which is a thyroid problem. Get your endocrine glands up, which are your hormones and steroids up. And you start getting that dehydration out of you, that hydration from alkalinity. And you'll just start seeing the whole body change. Yeah, you might see expectoration out of the skin like this one lady a little more aggressively than that, but what that just tells you, it's in your face that you have kidney problems. That's basically what that's saying. And your skin is now the entity that has to take the lumps and the humps. But you'll get past that. You'll get past that and get the kidneys filtering, and then you won't have the skin problems, and you rebuild. But you notice we're having to work for our health. It isn't a magic. You have to work for it. Because it took time to break it down, it takes time to build. Just like what you're saying here, man. It took, through the generations and through the radiations. But again, this is a good sign of radiation and how that carries for lifetimes. Absolutely. In everyone's eyes that I look at here, they have very weak thyroids. Yeah, that's let's get those thyroids. And look, why the population host suffers from chronic depression, highest suicide rate in the world. See, and these things can be fixed. These people don't have to live this way. And that's the value of you guys and what you're saying here. Michael, I mean, you can do a lot for the Japanese people here with just what you're seeing here. You're seeing what they're suffering from. So working on those endocrine glands, working on that. I want you to also think pituitary in Japanese, okay? Just to remember that, because I think you're going to find a little bit of a connection there, okay? So if you look at the pituitary, you look at the bowels, and you look at the kidneys, you're going to see the karmic pattern of Japanese predominantly. But you're right on there. I think you're just spot on. This is what I love about you guys. You're really seeing how you can apply what you know now to what you're seeing. And that just really just starts to make sense. And so this is why you guys are up there in the way you're seeing things and the way you're connecting things. And this is just what needs to happen. So this is really good. At what stage do you usually let your patients start exercising again? When they're filtering. When I see their urine is starting to get sediment in it and they're filtering, by all means, start to kick it up more and more and more, realizing that you don't want to dissipate all your nerve energy all the time. If you have weak adrenals, it's like you want to hold that nerve energy for a while because remember, nervous system controls literally everything. It's the electrical department. So it's going to control literally everything. My right kidney filters, my left is almost there. I don't know how you can tell that, I'm a good man. I don't have any serious illnesses. I just want to get healthy. Well, good man, but you get some good insight here. I really like what you're saying, and this will allow you to help over there your people well, because this is just what needs to happen. People need to get their remedies, and it's time that they get remedy. And I'm hoping this will also happen in law and everything else around the world. But I don't lift weights, just body exercises, push-up, and squats. That's okay for about 30 minutes a day. I have noticed that exercising helps me move my lymph, and it does. And that's the point. I'm not against exercise at all, but at the proper time. Because if you don't, you'll hurt more. We got a lot of pro athletes that show us that demonstrate that to us. Then I've just seen that through the years. So you are filtering, which is good, and then exercise can help accelerate that. Absolutely. At the same time, you're continuing to hydrate interstitially. Got it down here. Okay, I have noticed that calories, and I hate using that word, I know, are not equal. Yeah, they're not equal calories. That's the thing. When you're down to that word, and yet you got calories from starches, you got calories from protein, you got calories from everything. But I just don't get into that way of thinking. I just eat to my satisfaction of the body, and I don't worry about it, no matter what level of activity, because I work throughout most of the day when I'm home outside, heavy work outside and stuff, and, I still don't overeat. It's funny, again, going back to some of the videos I've done, talking about resistance when you study electricity and stuff, and how resistance plays a role. And so you have to look at that, and that gets into sizes of wires and everything. But when you start thinking about it internally, when you're looking at the three main energy flows of blood, nerve, and lymph, whenever you have an obstruction in the body, any of these blood, nerve, and lymph flows, you're going to have dis-ease. You're going to have pain or swelling. So this is, if you said that most of man's suffering is from obstructions, you'd be spot on. And this is true in thought. To me, thoughts are obstructive to consciousness. But it's the way you move and create and play in this created universe. But it's just preparing you and making you strong so you're your own creator. Well, let me tell you, it's interesting to see even that happen. It all comes back on you if you're not careful. I mean, there's just so much to the God world. This little bitty place here is amazing. But, yeah, you got it down, man. Thank you. This is Bodhi, B-O-D-H-I, 106, Bodhi, or however. What do you think about dried fruits such as mulberries? Can we have unlimited amounts of that, too? I think so. I love dried fruits. I'm a good one for medjool dates. Woo-hoo! Bahari, okay. Those are good. But I love dates, figs, all of this stuff. Holy crap. Remember I told you when I had health food stores, they used to have carob-covered pineapple, carob-covered bananas, carob-covered papaya. Oh, I used to eat the boxes full of that stuff. Woo, that was good. Well, that's the problem, you get into these, some of these foods are so good you can just go crazy. This is Steve. I'm currently on an extended water fast for the purpose of cleansing and rebuilding my adrenals. I followed your cleansing diet and herbal formula recommendations for 7 months prior to this more aggressive step. Oh, good. Good. We ought to see. I'd like to see what happens, Steve, on that, because you prepared yourself appropriately, and now you're digging in, and I think it's going to make your fast so much better, Steve. So let's see how you do on that. But you did just right. That's just what you do. You prepare for the event, and then you enter the event. You did good. You did good here. For 7 months prior to this more aggressive step, and most of my related problems have cleared up. But my chronic fatigue has continued now, going on 4 years. Yeah, I mean, when you get into chronic adrenals, I don't know if you're using the glandular. If not, you try the tonic, the gland tonic we have. Bring the God force in the body more. That way to the adrenals, use your mind. And you can use your mind to focus energy and maybe get more energetics up on that. Take a look at the emotions, anything you got to dump, that sort of thing. In a video, what can be done to get them to a vibrant state once again. Yeah, I mean, on all these adrenal things, again, you got several things weighing in on that. And again, for those that don't think I'm too far out there, but I believe in the karma, or Jesus said it, you reap what you sow. I mean, everyone pretty much understands, even in physics, there's opposite and equal reactions. All this is going out but coming back. So that's what I'm saying. You learn that what you want to come back, you want to give out. So if you want love and joy and happiness, you got to give it, because that's what's going to come back at you. If you get mad and angry, that's what's going to come back at you. And I have to learn that immensely, because right now there's a couple people that I could deal with here. So that's the problem, is that we have to always know that when we give. And I'm just right with you guys. I got to listen to my own words sometimes. But just remember, what you want, you must give out. So if you want to get love back, give it out to others. And there's some things you don't have to like. Just because you're a God person doesn't mean you have to like things going on. God doesn't like everything it creates, I'm sure. You don't have to like what's going on. You can change. So getting those adrenals up. Again, I use the glandulars only because that in such chronic levels, it's so much more immediate to see an adrenal push. Other than that, you're going to get into the parsleys, and you're going to get into the dandelion greens, and you're going to get into the Siberian ginsengs, and you're going to borage. I don't know. I'm trying, but they're outlawing some of these plants and stuff in terms. So you got to be careful with some of these herbs. Are real strong. So these are some of the ways. All the berries, of course, are all glandular. So just eating a lot of berries in your life. All these things. And again, moving lymph. And what's interesting is you got adrenals on top of kidneys. Well, in a sense, you got adrenals controlling kidneys, but when kidneys back up, the adrenals back up, and now you got a catch-22 because you can't get the kidneys going until the adrenals are going, so you got all that. Then we come into this world with emotions and past experiences from other dramas we've been to. And they claim it just keeps on going until you leave creation. And so it's just an ongoing soap opera in your experiences until you pull away. And some of you have been hurt real bad in past lives. Some of you have been tortured in past lives. And so some of this has to be taken out. And the best way to take out some of this when you don't know it exists is stop thinking. Just become the watcher and just become more of a channel for God. Just a channel for spirit, or the ek, or the prana, or the life force, whatever you wish to call it. You get out of the way, get your mind out of the way. And this channel of energy will also resurrect those cells, because every cell in your body gets touched with it. And then you go out and touch others with that. And that's how we wake up, or how it wakes itself up, however you wish to look at that. And thanks so much for, thank you, man. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that, guys. Steve. Dr. Morris, would you please make comments about the causative factors of deep vein thrombosis leading to massive pulmonary embolism? Whew, that's a big order. And I'll tell you this, though. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of connective tissue weaknesses and herniations or aneurysms. You know, we get herniations everywhere. And when the blood pH is constantly being compromised through smoking or through eating proteins and things like this, we can see the pulling of blood. We can also see the viscosity of the blood change. And so then we have Coumadins and we have all these things to thin the blood, but that's an inaccurate way of looking at that. We're not trying to thin anything. We're trying to keep pHs right in the level that they need to maintain an X amount of hydration so the fluid has movability and unstickability. Because you notice in acid environments, even though acids would think you're aggressive, they're corrosive, they break things apart, when you start getting into higher acids, they have the opposite effect. They're corrosive, but they have the effect, by being corrosive, they have the effect of dehydration and agglomeration and deterioration. So, you know, it's a variances of pHs. This is why when you have these sort of things like blood clots and deep vein thrombosis and things like this, you want to use circulation formulas, the blood formula. You want to definitely, if the one food you want, because even the medical doctors tell you don't eat vegetables, vitamin K, vitamin B, too much, they're clotting factors. But this isn't quite accurate. You don't stay away from these because they have the flavonoids, which helps with deep vein thrombosis. And this is why the fruits and the berries and the melons are key to any deep vein thrombosis, blood clots, things like this that can travel and go to the lungs or to the heart. And so you're not trying to thin the blood, you're trying to bring the blood into its proper pH so blood cells separate from each other. When you look at most blood cells, they're either stuck clustering to each other or they're following each other like choo-choo trains in the bloodstream. And so that's also a lack of enzymes. And then we have a big lack of enzymes when we cook our foods. And enzymes play a lot of roles, not just in digestion. Enzymes are used in every catalyst of a mechanical nature there is, or a chemical nature. So the world of enzymes is an incredible world to study in and of itself. So, you know, just keeping it simple, the raw foods are key, but the fruits and berries and melons are key to this sort of question that you're asking here. And it's a good question because you're seeing a lot of this going on. And some of this could be tied to mini strokes and TIAs and stuff like this too, but still, you know, you're trying to strengthen and clean because in this process, you're bringing any herniations, you're bringing any pockets, diverticulums, you're bringing anything you're bringing that structure back to normal and strong, and you're also bringing the viscosity of the blood into range with the proper pHs, separating the blood cells, allowing the platelets to clot when the platelets need to clot or need to agitate, instead of using Coumadin, which blocks that, creating a need to check pro-times in case you want to get a little internal bleed and might die from it. So all this, you know, you look at parathyroid glands, you go after the body and make it well. If you're just thinking of one thing by itself, no. But when you start to see, and this is where you can add formulas to mixes, is when you have problems like this. You can add circulation formulas, the blood formula, it cleans the blood. Definitely move yourself away from all proteins and move yourself into fruits, berries, and melons. Real important to do that. Even the most healthy people are susceptible to develop this. I have been a high raw vegan for over 3 years and believe I survived this because of my otherwise excellent health. But it was very near death. Oh, I bet it was. Holy crap, man. Brad, you got your butt kicked here. Well, guess what? So start with circulation formulas around the body. Also, high fruit, berry, and melon. Really start cleaning that body up. Clean out your spleen, clean out your liver, particularly clean out your spleen too. Detox the lungs from mucus and stuff. So you're going after blood and lymph. But remember, lymph and blood are together. They're companions in the interstitial fluids. So just remember, everything is connected to each other. So making the body healthy is the only answer to these sort of deep problems. Just like you almost killed you. A tough one. And I've seen that off a lot of people. Hey, Dr. Morris, can you talk about these 3 subjects all in one video? I looked on YouTube and seen that you didn't have much on these topics. They were probably deleted. Oh, no. So just wondering if you can teach about them on Vimeo. Thyroid, cholesterol, and type 2 diabetes. Okay, yeah, you know what? We're going to, I think Chris is in the process of putting these up. I think, aren't some of you guys helping Chris with the videos that, we're supposed to back up all these videos. Now, I know some of you guys have them backed up. I don't know if you've talked to Chris about getting them all back up online, but we're going to put them all on Vimeo, and we're going to put them up on our website, too, so we have them up. I'll keep this because Marcy and I, she's a type 1. We're going to do one on diabetes for you, absolutely. Cholesterol, we can do one on, we'll do one on each one of those. I think you're right. These are real important questions that people need to have dealt with. But remember, cholesterol is the body's main antacid, whether it's adrenal steroids that it's being used, LDL is adrenal steroids, HDL is phospholipids in the cell wall. Remember, cholesterol is the body's main antacid, whether the body has to use it directly as cholesterol or it uses it through the pathway of steroids. Doesn't matter. It's still antacids. And antacids are key, you notice. Look at cortisol and progesterone. Progesterone is a good one to show you what a corticosteroid is used for. It is the neutralizer of estrogen and testosterone, which are acidic. So you see how important that the adrenals are. And you'll notice, you practitioners will notice that when the adrenals are down, the cholesterol's going up. In other words, in a highly acidic medium, when the adrenals are down, which is when the adrenals are down, the body's going to turn to cholesterol. And it's going to still use calcium to suck too. So you got 2 problems. You have 3 problems you always face in acidosis. You have calcium loss and calcifications, you have cholesterol plaquing, and then you have edema. Those are the 3 hallmarks of acidosis. And then from there, then you have the hypertrophies, the enlargements, you have, the pain and swelling, the inflammation, you have all these side effects of acidosis and weak adrenals. So yeah, this is a good one to follow up on there. How's my time? Yeah, we'll do about 10 more minutes. I don't make this too long so we can get this up for you. And then I'll shoot another one here. Certified vegan, baby. Love it. Can't weed this. You guys are good. Yeah, keeps my mind young, you guys. I had a semi-late case of Lyme's disease. Jesse Ventura did a whole thing on Lyme's, where they showed up in New York or somewhere, the lab. I don't know if it was New York, but it seems that comes to my mind, this lab that was working on these virals, and that this particular virus got out of the lab, and they were showing how viruses can get out of the lab and how they can carry these around. People that even work, even when they have the double door syndromes and stuff. So interesting stuff when you look at a little more of this history of Lyme's, because not everybody gets bit by a tick. But virals are important to understand, and you want to go back and review those videos on virals, and hopefully, as we go on, I was just talking to Jennifer, I want to start making a lot more of these and go more specific, and then we're going to have more groups and make this more exciting for you instead of just me sitting here talking. Took almost 2 weeks to get diagnosed and get the antibiotics, and that's what's interesting to me is they give these antibiotics for Lyme's, and that's about the biggest sin there is right there, and they'll give you massive amounts of it, and that's ridiculous. After the ring showed up, I was so very sick to the point I had developed arthritis in my knees. Well, that's the problem is now you're involved in systemic acidosis. And that's what you're looking at. Doesn't matter where a virus helps to come in and make you aware of that, but it's just that this is systemic acidosis. And you always see systemic acidosis with Lyme's, lupus, arthritis. They're all linked to the same guys. Like I said, even rheumatoid, RA, doesn't matter if it's rheumatoid factors, sclerodermic factors. I mean, there's so many different factors you look at in blood for these. It doesn't matter. That's the thing. The mind can play you games that take you away from truth, and that's its job. Its job has nothing to do with truth. It is the instrument of thought and creation. It doesn't give a hoot what truth is. There is no ethical, moral to thought and mind. That comes out of the emotions. That's the astral. When you lose your emotions, you have no one way or another. Thought is just thought. And then when you lose thought, everything just is. There's nothing, there's no name, there's no definition, there's no separation, there's no, any division to that. It is one. And so when you start looking at this spiritually, you start seeing how life is put together in creation and why the mind exists, why the emotions exist, and what their game is here. Literally couldn't walk or stand enough to urinate in the toilet. I also had Bell's palsy. Well, here you're painting me a big picture of your body, man, and I'll tell you, you really, and this is a fibromyalgia, lupus, Lyme's, and chronic fatigue. Yeah, I mean, this is just what? Now, you want to get in upper circ, brain, and nerve. I would be for Bell's palsy. At the same time, you really want to honk on your adrenals and lymph because it sounds like you've got and you might check to see if you have high sulfur content in your body. Take a look at your eyes. But these were temporary and luckily went away. However, for up to a couple of years after I had pain in the back of my knees when bending down, that went away, but now I have a popping, cracking knees. Well, here's the thing. When you don't do this properly and you don't move these acids out and you're just dealing in the pain side of this, guess who's still there chewing? Absolutely. This is all about acids. Even virals are proteins, but they're magnetically friendly to those things that are not feeling too good. Go back to our discussion on virals and their job, because anybody can have viral loads. It's just when they find a home, it's not too pleasant. That separates the HIV and creates the AIDS, the Hep C's out there, all these sort of things. But you're going to see a lot more viral loads in people just because of the nature of the cells in people and everything else. But detox yourself and you'll be done with the Lymes. Fix your adrenals. You always find the adrenals in lupus, Lymes, fibromyalgia. What's down? Kidneys and adrenals, always. Always. Because your lymph system's down. It's a sewer department, and then you breed all kinds of stuff. You can breed bacterium, you can breed whatever, but just remember, if you try to kill the bacteria, and this is another problem I see with what you did with treating Lyme's, is the high antibacterial use. You kill the bacteria in your lymph nodes, you really create a problem for yourself, and that's not what we want. You don't want to go there. This is from Pablo. Hey, my friend. Big fan of your videos. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. 28-year-old male. He's been a vegan in February and has been feeling better since. Go, baby. Move it on up. Try the fruitarian side for a few months. See what you think. I currently suffer from adult acne. Here, you notice how many people are suffering from skin acne, psoriasis, eczema. Look at how many of you guys, just tons of you guys are involved in this. It just shows you in this day and time how the kidneys are so down and the adrenals are so down that your skin is the only your skin has become your main kidney now. I mean, this is a sad thing, but it shows you that. And then in chronic psoriasis, holy crap, that pus and the nasty stuff that comes out of people is just staggering. I had a guy from Texas with chronic psoriasis on the chest, and close your ears, but pus would come out like whipping cream. I mean, just bad, nasty, chronic. This is the life inside sewage, and that's why people stink. This is why people have skin breaking down, joints cracking and popping, and all of this. Hair coming off the head. I currently suffer from adult acne, and I'm still trying to figure out how to fix this dilemma. Get your kidneys filtering. Get the adrenals up. Get your kidneys filtering. Move those lymphs. Dry skin, brush the skin. Hot and cold applications in the shower. Get your thyroid up so you can sweat and go out and sweat your butt off. And then start peeing your butt off filtration-wise. My question, though, is regarding acne, scarring, and scarring in general. What can be done about it? Well, you could use the vitamin E creams, blah, 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 blah. So many great herbs for that. But I'll tell you the truth. As you move through that, and coconut oils and everything, just realize that your body, in an alkaline state, will start chewing up scar tissue. So it's like bone. It might take you a while, but what else you got to do? So start working deeper into your body, cleaning it and getting it into alkaline balance, and then you'll see that scar tissue slowly disappearing. And that's the only way I know you can go into that at these deeper levels. Absolutely. What can be done about this? And if you get a pimple, don't let it stay there. Clean it out, pick it, pop it, whatever. Don't people say, "Oh, don't make it out." No, these are acids. Get them out. They want to come out. As regard about this thing, conventional dermatology, the last laser treatments. Well, let your body return itself to a state of beauty and health, and it'll take care of that situation for you. Let's see, scientifically, what are the negatives of meat, dead animals? Oh, interesting. Well, scientifically, okay. Well, the minute you kill an animal, of course, what moves away? Their consciousness. So now what you have is just a bunch of cells in stagnant blood and lymph. So now what you have is the breakdown of proteins. Now that's the necroticizing. You have the decay of proteins. And I don't care how much you put it in a freezer or how much you hang it on a hook. That's the whole thing now. We like aged meat. So some farmer the other day told me it was 6 months at least hanging to get aged meat. I'm going, that we like rotten stuff. And then we wonder why we stink. So we're eating rotten food. Chemically, of course, all the chemistry is starting to break down and starting to form acids more. So acids continue to break down the carcass and stuff. So that's the thing, is that everything starts to become more acidic. Everything starts to necroticize and putrefy. You have fermentation of your carbons and stuff like that. And so you just become one big mess of putrefaction. So chemically, you're having a great altering of chemistry. The water solubles are dissipating and breaking down, and those are gone. So you're starting to get very concentrated proteins that are necroticized, that are putrefying. And, we call that good for you? There's nothing good for you there. Matter of fact, you're eating tissue that was made from predominantly fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables as the average species. Now, there are some carnivore species, but nobody likes to eat dog meat. Some people do, but not even dogs. Some dogs will kill other dogs, but as a rule, you got to be real hungry to eat a carnivore. They're pretty nasty in their taste. And they have no muscles. It's nasty. People want to put on muscle. And what's interesting to me is when you look at the carnivores, they have the least muscles, except the grizzly bears and stuff. But then wait a minute. We go back to a grizzly bear diet. We find that 65% of their diet is sage grass. 13% is tubers, berries, fruits, and things like that. Only 7% or so meat. That's from National Geographic, not me. So all I can say is that when you start to look it up, you see why we don't eat dead tissue, just from not only the altering of chemistry, but the nasty putrefactive stuff. Think roadkill. What was that? There's so many redneck shows out there, I don't know. But one the other day, the guy ran over somebody, said, "Well, I need to go back and get it so we can have it for supper." So they told a friend where he hit him and went back. It was a coon, and they got him and they had him for supper. But that's sort of been on the road probably 3 hours or more. Oh, so that's what I'm saying. You don't have to look at this in any other way than that sort of thing. And then you also think of the consciousness of what you're eating, because everything feeds off another here. So when you want to know God and you want to know love and beauty, you must consume that high energy of that. Fruits have that. Vegetables, not so much. Vegetables are more grunt, physical and powerful, and a cow, horse, elephant, rhino. But your primates and stuff, more love, interaction, family, that sort of thing. And so you'll see the difference in vibration. There's been studies done about prisoners on meats and stuff like that. If we want to change really the aggressive nature of our society and individuals that get into hurting other people and stuff, change their diets. Put them on these raw food diets, and I've demonstrated this for all my life, how you can take a very aggressive person, a person that puts guns up in people's faces, and take those people and turn them into God people. And I've done that to so many very violent people, and I can tell you, it just changes you, and that's how I would do it. I could probably go on a year on that sort of thing. This looks like it's supposed to be bone. It looks B-O-B-E. I take it's bone, B-O-N-E. I had bone grafting three probably years ago. Can any technique help regaining lost bone? Well, that's real important. And you show a picture of Roger here, and that was the video to show you that. I mean, we've seen it in so many people, of course, because everyone gets your bones rebuilt. But Roger was a good example of that in an extreme way, where the body in a healed position, out of shape, could pull itself back. And I mean, his right leg was 2 inches shorter than his left, and his femur was bulging from the bend, the 28-degree angle this leg was in from a previous fracture that healed this way. He was a C4, C5 quad. And I mean overnight, that's 11 months though, on total fruits, berries, and melons and juices, power juicing him. And his leg twisted and pulled itself straight. It was like, wow. But to tell you, we were getting little bone fragments out of him. And I don't know whether this is from the past or how the body, I can't tell you. At the same time, he had extreme scoliosis to the right. It also pulled itself straight. That's why you saw Fox News in there. All I know is I've never seen the body fail to rebuild bones in the proper medium. You can't rebuild bones in a what? An acidic environment. Not going to happen. Even though phosphorus is part of bone matrix, it's the little brother. So you just got to remember that you need to have a good, healthy environment. Well, when your environment is one of acidosis, that is not a good, healthy environment. That's an environment of bone loss, whether it's teeth, fingernails, skeletal structure, anywhere, connective tissue. We were just talking about that earlier on here. So this is why you want to dig into that lymph and get this interstitial fluids more hydrated, more in a proper base balance to where now your body will absorb. At the same time, remember, we're looking at the parathyroid gland, and this is true on the scarring too, by the way, is parathyroid gland. Because if you're not producing enough parathormone, you're not going to utilize calcium at the level you need to. That's when you're going to see additional scarring. In an acidic environment where the environment is more acid and the parathyroid is down, you're going to see heavy scarring, heavy bone building, and you're going to see that in the body's attempt in an acidic medium to support itself. As you move that acidic medium out and you retain that hydrated base balance, then you're going to see bone not only rebuilding but scarring going away. You're going to see the body reacclimate itself to this new level of vibrancy. And that's just what you're doing and what the goal is here, of course. So any bone regeneration, you've got to look at the parathyroid, and you got to look about the internal environment, interstitial, meaning around the cells, that interstitial environment. And most people, when you're not filtering lymphatically through the kidneys and through the skin, that internal interstitial environment, that interstitial around the cells environment will become more acidic. That's when you start to get stiff. You get tight from the dehydration of the fluids. You feel the pain from the acids on the nervous system. And then you start to see all that implies. All that the body has to do to fight that. And then we call all this kind of stuff diseases. That's what we have to break. We have to break the chain of the mind at that level. Let the Illuminati play with diseases. They can play with the medical community all they want. See what I mean? All right, I think I have a meeting coming up here, so I think I better call this, and then what we can do is go over the rest of this. Hopefully I'll catch up here. I don't think I need to do about a 3-hour video, no offense, to kind of catch up. But I'm going to return to these individual videos. But right now, I'm trying to catch up on some question and answers, and then we got a bunch of your eyes sitting here. We need to go over those too. So, hang in there. There's been so many things going on, and we appreciate you all hanging in there with us. We love you all. And of course, always with growth, always with truth. There's always the ups and the downs. There's the fight of the negative forces always. So be strong. Be that which is. Don't let anything bring you down and take your joy away, because you're the one that matters. And so take that time to go in and become the watcher. Remember that a project I gave you a month or so ago, to take a week and become the watcher, the observer of life. Not the desire, not the thinker. Take a couple of weeks and don't want anything for a couple of weeks. Don't try to plan anything for a couple of weeks. Hang out and be. And just watch how things are going. Watch people and how they work. Just observe. And try not to think. See how that gains you. And have some fun with this. So I love you all. We will talk to you as soon as we can. I'm always right here, though. And I'm always looking over you guys. You know, we're a lot of out-of-body travelers here now on YouTube. So just remember, all of us will be working and helping others. And this is a big, fun thing. And you want to make it a big, fun thing. Even though some of you are suffering pretty bad, rewind, unwind, and get this out of you. No matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, what else you got to do? Sit there and suffer so you know what the causative factors are. Don't make it complicated. Keep it simple. And you will find the remedy for yourself. And then join us, and let's heal up this world and give our little statement, and then on we go. So you all have a beautiful day. I hope we can get this up for you this morning, and may the blessings be to each and every one of you. Bye-bye now.